Hello, and welcome to Defining Your Research Question. Our video today will look at these outcomes, including what is a research question, how to develop your research question, and some examples of what a good research question could look like. So, what is a research question? Fundamentally, a research question is one that aims to answer a particular issue or problem through study or a research project. It will tell the reader what the problem is and outlines the task ahead. Steps to developing a good research question. Our tips for creating a good research question are: be focused on a single issue, be specific and be feasible, making sure your question is answerable within the length of your paper, be researchable, meaning if you create a question that needs you to access databases or materials that you can't get to, then how will you do your research? Be relevant and keep within the area of study or research that is pertaining to you. Our graph shows us how we could start with a large topic area, in this case cars, and can narrow it down to a research question of: are self-driving cars safer than those driven by people? Looking at that process in more detail, we can see that we have steps to negotiate if we need to reduce the size of a topic area to create a research question. We must determine the requirements of our assignment. What are we being asked to do? From there, we need to choose a topic, one which you are interested in and will give you sufficient motivation to research and learn from. Conduct preliminary research. Is it feasible to be able to answer this? Narrow down your topic of focus, again ensuring that it can be answered within this type of paper. For example, you wouldn't want to research on a broad topic of gender-specific cancer treatments in a piece that is 3,000 to 5,000 words long, as it is too large. We will now look at the types of research questions you may look to use. Firstly, we have quantitative research. Quantitative questions tend to be precise, linked to the research design, and aren't answerable to yes or no responses. Usually there are three forms of quantitative research questions: descriptive, comparative, and relationship. A descriptive question can usually start with what, and will look at responses from a particular study against a set of variables of the question's choosing. An example of a descriptive question would be: what is the average student loan debt accrued by Trinity students? Comparative questions can be casual, and as the name suggests, compares between groups for an outcome. An example of this could be: how do lean participants compare to obese participants in their frequency and intensity of food cravings? And a relationship style question, which seek to explore and define trends and interactions between two or more variables, would have a research question that could be like: how does stress at work relate to quality of life in people working night shifts? Qualitative research questions tend to generally want to discover, explain, or explore with their study. Usually they start with what or how, and we would ask you to avoid beginning qualitative questions with why, as this implies cause and effect. You will identify the central phenomenon you plan to explore, and tell in the question what you are going to describe, explore, generate, discover, or understand. An example of these include: what is it like growing up in a single parent family in a rural environment? Or what are the experiences of people working night shifts in healthcare? Mixed methods questions are, as the name suggests, those that use both quantitative and the qualitative in its creation to answer questions. An example of this could be: to what extent does the frequency of traffic accidents, the quantitative section, reflect cyclist perceptions of road safety, the qualitative, in Amsterdam? We will now look at some examples of good and bad research questions. We have two versions of the same question. They are marked unclear and clear. An unclear question could be: how could social networking sites address the harm they cause? The clear version of that question could be: what action should social networking sites like Instagram and Facebook take to protect users' personal information and privacy? The unclear version of this question doesn't specify which social networking sites are being looked at or suggest what kind of harm sites might be causing. It also assumes that this harm is proven and or accepted. The clearer version specifies sites Instagram and Facebook, the type of potential harm, privacy issues, and those experiencing that harm, the users. Strong research questions shouldn't leave room for ambiguity or interpretation. Our unfocused question is, what is the effect on the environment from global warming? The more focused version of that could be, what is the most significant effect of glacial melting on the lives of penguins in Antarctica? The unfocused research question is so broad that it couldn't be adequately answered in a book-length piece, let alone a standard second-level paper. The focused version narrows down to a specific effect of global warming, in this case glacial melting, a specific place, Antarctica, and a specific species affected, penguins. It also requires the writer to take a stance on which effect has the greatest impact on the affected animal. When in doubt, make a research question as narrow and as focused as you possibly can. A simple question could be how doctors are addressing diabetes in the US. As we can see, we have a more appropriately complex question on the same topic. What main environmental, behavioral, and genetic factors predict whether Americans will develop diabetes, and how can these commonalities be used to aid the medical community in prevention of the disease? The simple version of this question can be looked up online and answered in a few factual sentences. It leaves no room for analysis. The more complex version is written in two parts. It is thought-provoking and requires both significant investigation and evaluation from the writer. As said, if a quick Google search can answer a research question, it's likely not a very effective research question. To recap our most important points, it is an iterative process, i.e., you build it, you refine it, and improve it. It is ongoing. Stay on top of current trends and discoveries techniques in your chosen area. Make a question specific and concise. Think about the context and breadth of your question. Get input from colleagues, peers, and mentors, which can help in the creation process. Don't pose a question as a contribution to research, and don't frame your question as a method of review. Thank you for watching. If you have any further questions, please contact the Trinity Library.